Hello everyone, this is Luxury PL38. Today's video I would like to do a direct comparison between the mini rectangular pearl crush and the mini rectangular classic flaps, because for my unboxing, for some of you that actually noticed, I was a little bit surprised, shocked and disappointed. However, that's because I wasn't expecting to actually see it in real life to be so much different than the mini rectangular. So I'm gonna do a direct comparison, and hopefully this video will educate someone that was looking to purchase the pearl crush bag to expect the unexpected and also to be prepared for the differences. So let's get into the actual video comparison. So the first noticeable difference is the strap itself. The classic flap mini rectangular is a bigger strap in terms of size wise. In fact, I think the classic flap mini rectangular size, the strap is pretty much the same as the small size or the medium classic flap. And this pearl crush, the strap itself, it's very close to a wallet on chain, which is the walk, and it is closer to an SLG of the Chanel products. See how the wallet on chain and the pearl crush are exactly the same size in terms of the strap. And I can only imagine, because of the ball here, the pearl crush ball that adjusts the strap, and I can only imagine the reasons why they actually use the smaller chain strap is because it is easier for the adjuster to go through the ball, and you can easily do that. So you can imagine if they actually use the same size of the strap, the ball will have to be much bigger, and it's going to be much heavier for them to carry the bag, because this pearl crush ball, it's actually very heavy, and for that to actually work, they need to use a smaller strap so that the size of the ball will be at least a little bit lighter than if they were to use the normal mini rectangular strap. So that is the two differences from the strap itself, and you basically just have to press the double CC logo to pull and push and adjust the strap accordingly. It is very convenient. And let's go to the third differences, which is the size, and this actually shocked me the most during the unboxing. If you look at the size, the mini rectangular classic is slightly a little bit bigger, probably just about 1 or 2 centimeters if you look at the length, and if you look at the height, it is probably just about the same, or maybe half a centimeter taller. If you look at the width, this is also quite significant. It is actually thicker on the classic mini rectangular, and I'll explain to you why. But before we go into that, I just want to point out another differences, because if you look at the side and the bottom of the pearl crush mini rectangular, the design of it, it's very different. See how the mini rectangular classic flap, it has a very firm and sturdy base, and if you look at the quilting, it's a flat quilting base. That's because of the sturdy of the base. It's very boxy on the bottom, which is the base, and the quilting itself, it's flat. See how flat it is. Whereas if you look at the mini rectangular pearl crush, it's not sturdy, as in it is completely covered in the lambskin, and it does have the puffiness. It is not a flat base. So the ladder actually encompasses throughout the side and the base. Let me just show you the differences again. See that? The classic flap, it's basically have a flat bottom or a base, and it is a boxy structure because it is flat quilted, and I believe that applies to the small medium, and the large jumbo maxi classic flap. However, the mini rectangular pearl crush has quilting on the base. It is not boxy, you can press it, whereas this one you can't press it because of the box. There is a sturdier base. So that is one of the very crucial differences that makes it so different for the pearl crush bag, that I actually thought it is so different and unique itself. However, because of the leather encompassing all, the type of leather they use for the pearl crush is a very different kind of lambskin. It smells different, it feels different, and as you can see, it does not have that level of puffiness as compared to the classic flat mini rectangular. The classic flat mini rectangular has a puffy look to it, and it also feels very slippery, smooth, like a buttery smooth. However, the lambskin that they use on this particular pearl crush, it has a very rubberish feel to it. It is not buttery smooth, and the quilting itself, it is meant to be not as puffy as the normal lambskin. So don't expect this to be very puffy. Also, because if you look at the grains of this lambskin, it does have a thicker grain. It is probably easier if I could compare it directly with a black lambskin from my Vanity Mini. This is actually in black, and it is also in the lambskin. You see how puffy it is as compared to this lambskin for the pearl crush. However, if you look closely on the grains, the texture of the lambskin on the Vanity Mini, which is the normal lambskin that Chanel usually use, is very tiny. The grain itself is very tiny, whereas the grains on the pearl crush lambskin, if you notice, the grains are a little bit bigger than the usuals. So that is the texture of the differences between those two types of lambskin. It just makes it a little bit different, and it also makes it a little bit squishy as compared to this lambskin, which is a little bit firmer and puffy. You can't actually squish that much, whereas this particular type of lambskin, you can definitely squish it, and the puffiness will probably just jump back up, if that makes sense, because of the level of squishiness. It just brings it back up. So I hope that explains the major differences between those two kinds of lambskin that Chanel uses. So expect the pearl crush mini rectangular to be a little bit more squishy, and you can actually squish the back. Even the base itself, it makes it a little bit squishy that you can actually compress. So that's the material that they use, the type of lambskin that they use. And because of that reason, and if you look at the corners, compare with those corners, you can easily see the corners that was being folded, much like Hermes differences between a ratonnet and a sallier. And you can easily see the corners. This is actually folded inwards, whereas this one, even though it's folded inwards, it is not as obvious as this mini rectangular pearl crush. So the base actually is a huge difference because it makes it just that squishy. So I hope this particular video actually explains to you why the leather that they used for the pearl crush mini rectangular makes the pearl crush bag look so different and so flat as compared to the mini rectangular classic flat, because the material that they use are completely different type of materials, and the base itself are not firm as compared to this. You can squish the bag. It's more like a squishy bag. And I just want to also note the interior of this. If you look at the interior of it, it is obviously in the gold color, and I believe that is very standard for a pearl crush bag to have that gold interior. And hopefully this explains to you, but also I just want to point out the hardware that the pearl crush used for this particular item. See how I can't actually close the bag? I need to push it down. So in order for me to close the bag, the hardware itself will be tilted a little bit upwards. Whereas a mini rectangular hardware, if you close the bag, it is perfectly horizontal and you can close it easily. The pearl crush mini rectangular, the position of the hardware, it actually allows the bag to be squishy, and that is the reasons why initially you might have a hard time closing the bag. You need to actually push it down a little to close it, and even when you close it, it is the hardware, you see it's tilted a little bit forward because the bag is meant to be squishy. And it does allow for that squishiness, and that's probably the reasons why the flap of this, the hardware, it actually moves a little bit up. So I hope this explains the differences, and if you do have any questions or comments, please do so in the sections below. To be honest, I did actually grow into the pearl crush bag because I find this particular bag to be a very casual, because of the structure and the material they use, to be a little bit more towards the casual size, and also because the squishiness, it helps to make it a little bit towards into the casual look. So I am prepared to keep the bag and see how it goes, because I am beginning to actually appreciate the whole pearl crush bag and the materials that they use. Once again, thank you so much for watching.